Do you have a pet you would like to train? I'll be talking today with Alison Saucier. She will share with us a positive and rewarding way to train your dog to do simple commands. I sure wish I had heard this 13 years ago. Alison may be a familiar face to you. She and her dog Willow have been a part of our Paws to Read program at the library, where children have come in to read to therapy dogs. Alison is going to talk to us about training a dog using a clicker and positive reinforcement. We'll also hear about the process of a dog becoming a therapy dog and some of the stories of their service to others. Stay tuned to the end of this video and you'll see Alison train her friend's dog, Sadie. Let's get started. Hey, Alison, I'm so glad you could be here today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here too. Thanks for having me and Willow. She's in the background.
All right, can't wait to see Willow too. How old is Willow?
Willow is 5. We did the Paws to Read, I guess, for a year from when she was 3 to 4, right? And then COVID started.
And what kind of dog is Willow?
She is a golden doodle, which doodles are really popular right now, but she's the mix between a golden retriever and a poodle.
Well, today I would love for you to tell us about doing some training with your dog. I know that my dog is not trained, not trained well. I'm thrilled she can sit when she wants to, and get on a leash, but that's about it. So, but we would love to hear. And I know you've mentioned that you use a clicker and positive reinforcement, and tell us how it works.
First of all, for anybody that has a dog, training your dog will make a much more pleasurable experience for the pet and the owner. Come here, Willow. Come here, girl. So, let me see if I can get her in the picture. You want to stand up and hug? She's going to say hey.
Hi, Willow.
So I did use a trainer because I knew I was going to get her certified to be a therapy dog. That was important for our family. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But even before I knew that, or before I started that journey, our breeder had introduced us to clicker training, and our trainer happened to use the same thing. And the specific clicker training we used was the Karen Pryor, Pryor, clicker method. Just tons of free YouTube videos that people can find where people have uploaded videos of their dogs learning to sit or roll over or stay. So that's really helpful. But this clicker, it's not too loud. And the point of it, hey, Willow, she heard that. The point of it is that when they're puppies, they move so quickly from sit to rolling over to running out the yard that you have to quickly capture their good behavior. So when you click it, they immediately associate this click with a treat, because first day home, you're telling them their name. And when they come to it, you click and give them a treat. And that's one of the first things we did, was just associating the click with food and with her name. And she would, if I pull this out, she's here. She's
yeah, no wonder she came up to you.
Yes. So that's positive reinforcement. I emphasize positive reinforcement because as a pet owner in the past, I've used newspaper, I've stuck their nose in their pee, popped their bottom, said no. And I can tell the difference between Willow, who's a very friendly, happy dog and eager to please me, versus my former dogs who were kind of afraid of me because they didn't know, okay, was that good or bad? What do I get a treat for? What do I get my nose stuck in my pee for?
That's good advice.
So positive worked a lot better with her. The other thing I did was, and learning from both my breeder and my trainer, was very short lessons. They were like, you're not going to learn to sit in one day. Do really short lessons that are 5 minutes and just a handful of really small treats that they can just taste. I have bigger treats for Willow now, and they're still, let me pull them out. They're still only, this big.
Oh yeah.
And she's a big dog. But calories are important to dogs. You can overfeed them treats pretty quickly and then they won't eat their good food. So we would get, like our breeder said, get hot dogs and cut them up to where it's literally just enough to fit on the tip of your finger, and it's just a lick, and that's enough to keep them coming back because it's such a high reward.
Yeah.
We would do a palm size of that, and when they were gone, I'd say all done, and she knew her session was done and she was happy and neither of us was frustrated, and we do it a little later, and she learned really quickly just doing that. Several things I did, and like I said, everything I know I learned from someone else. Nothing of mine is original. But I had a harness on her. It was really important to not use a leash on her neck, pulling on her collar, because that if I did that to myself, it hurts and it cuts off your airway. So you'll hear a dog start coughing because they're being pulled in. So having a harness, this pulls on their chest and their shoulders.
Okay.
And so put this on her and her leash. I'll show you the leash. I kept her tethered to me a lot as a puppy around the house. That helped me identify when she could go to the bathroom, when she was tired, when she was hungry. And she learned to stay right by me instead of just wandering off. So lots of positive association with that. So I'm going to back up and show all this.
All right.
Here, little girl. Come on. All right. Yeah, good girl.
Oh, she is so well behaved.
She knows what's coming. Good girl. So this has a ring on the back, and this leash is a hands-free leash I used a lot in training. So it's kind of like a lasso. It can clip up along several places, but I like to keep it loose for me. And Ben's too.
Yeah.
And it just clips to her so I can keep my hands free for my clicker and my treats.
Nice.
And I have to be on a leash. All right, Willie. So one thing I did too, and I don't know if you can still see me, I hope you can.
Yeah.
It's very important that you don't associate the word to the command, the word to the action at first. Because you'll hear some 6-year-old or even 12-year-old, I have one of those, that they'll go, sit, 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 sit. And the dog finally gets a treat and they don't know what they did that was sit. And so I just, as a puppy, which she knows it now, she knows it to be, so I do hand commands as well. But if she was a puppy, I would literally wait, and puppies love to follow your hand and naturally sit. She doesn't because she's so trained right now. She's not going to do what I'll tell her to do. Let's see if she'll sit. There you go. So once they sit, click, treat.
Oh, sweet.
Willow. So if she was a puppy, I would wait till she sat. So, because you'll hear people say it 20 times and the puppy just gets confused. And then once they've gotten that action several days in a row, then I start saying with the action when they sit, I'll say, good sit when I give them the treat. Willow, sit. Good. Good girl. And I usually kept this clipped to me. I don't have good pants to clip to right now. Willow, down. Good. Good girl. She may not do this on a leash. I haven't done this in a while on a leash where she's going to roll over.
Okay.
We'll see. On a leash, it's harder. I'm going to roll over. It's hard on a leash, isn't it? Here, let's unclick. You can do it? There we go. Good girl. It's the same thing with anything that they actually do. We click quickly. So, and it's a pretty subtle sound. I don't know where my mic is.
Yeah.
And they so as soon as the action is done, they associate immediately, their body associates what they're doing with that positive reinforcement. Once they're a little bit older, we would wean off the treats and do, she has a squirrel somewhere, anything that's allowed for them. So especially when she was teething, we went from food to toy. Oh. And so she wasn't biting my hands or my furniture. That was the only time she could have that was during training. And she wanted that toy. And that got her off of biting things she wasn't supposed to bite. So say she was biting my dish towel, I would switch with the squirrel. If she did the squirrel, I would click and give her a treat. And she knew I can bite the squirrel. I can't bite the towel.
This is wonderful advice. My daughter just got a new dog and it's chewing up everything. So
yeah. So super helpful. Where you're not saying no, and yanking the towel. You're just giving her something she can have because they need a teeth. Their teeth are hurting. Right. And they associate, I can have this thing that smells, the store makes them smell differently. It smells this way. They associate very quickly that this squirrel is good. Dad's shoe is not. So, yeah. And it's all associated with food. When they're little, they work for food. She still does. She's 5 and she still works for food. But she also works for praise. I'm sitting here petting her like crazy, and talking to her, so dogs are I think they're really easy to train if you catch them at the right time.
Right. Now, as far as teaching a dog to use a leash and to heel, I mean, my dog can use a leash, but healing is not going to happen. Yeah. What's the process for that?
Thing I did, same thing. If she was on the leash, come here, girl. Come on. I would have these treats And I like this in my hand. At the hip, I wanted her to stay on. So she walks on my left hip every time. I don't change it. So she knows that when we're walking, I would say, good girl, click treat. And if she was especially good, I would do it like rapid fire. So she needed to stay you're shaking. She needed to stay right by my hip. I got to the point where I kept those treats in my hand. And if she kept her nose by my hand, she was getting a treat pretty much the entire time we were walking.
Wow.
And it's okay to do that for several months or weeks, however long it takes to get that behavior to stick. And then you wean them off of it because it's already muscle memory for them.
Now, can you teach an old dog new tricks for those of us that have older dogs?
Yeah, you can. Of course, some of them are going to be stuck in their ways, especially if they're negative associations. So, for instance, Willow, at one point, we were in my backyard during a storm. I didn't know it was about to storm. And her bathroom word at the time was go potty. And she would go out there to potty very quickly. If she went potty, she got a treat. So I wasn't waiting for an hour for my dog to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And right when I said go potty, lightning struck, thunder rolled, and she went under my shed. And it took a lot to figure out. And I called, anytime I said it after that, she would cower under the shed.
Oh my goodness.
And if you don't know how to untrain that, that can be a lifelong habit. So very quickly, I called our trainer and said, what do I do? This potty, that was how she goes to the bathroom. And she said, okay, pick a different word. But the other thing is, next time it rains, you need to be out there with steak, string cheese, whatever her very high reward treat is, and y'all play in the rain. And she gets it constantly. And she did. And I think I started saying go to the bathroom maybe during that time. We're back to potty now. But I was literally out there in my raincoat with chopped up tiny pieces of steak saying, come on, let's go to the bathroom. And she went to the bathroom and now she loves the storm. Steak. But had I gotten her as an older dog, that may be a very difficult thing to untrain because she was so young. Usually the first 16 weeks, those negative associations, whether it's somebody banging on a trash can or a child picking them up by the tail, those negative things are very hard to untrain. But with positive reinforcement, you can work on that over and over, and it can gear a different way. Simple things like sit, down, shake, those are very easy to train any age dog.
Right.
But untraining negative behaviors that are associated with negative memories is very hard. Catch the right time with some steak and undo that.
Is Willow your first trained therapy dog?
Yes, she is. She's my only trained therapy dog. Yes. So therapy dogs can be for multiple people. They're not just for one person. It is a partnership. They don't just train Willow, they train both of us and they serve us. So I could be really anxious or distracted and they won't pass me, so they won't pass her. So to know that both of us are going to do well in high stress environments. So for instance, one time I went to the children's hospital to the psych floor, the kids' psych floor. And I had a long lead on her because they didn't want me in the room. The kids didn't. They don't trust me. I'm not their safe person, but they wanted Willow. So I stayed attached to her so I could feel her. If she was getting anxious, I could pull her back and get her out. But if I had gotten anxious in that situation, that is not a good fit for us. So they need to know that both of us are comfortable in a lot of situations that we could go into to volunteer.
If you decide, yes, I do want to have my dog trained to be a therapy dog, how do you start? What do you do?
So some dogs are naturally very good temperament and don't need training. So there's a dog down the street right now. His name is Banjo. He was a rescue dog through the Golden Retriever League. He is wonderful and he goes to work with them. And that's their personal work. They can take him whether he's certified or not. He is just the sweetest dog. He doesn't need a stitch of therapy, of training. And he could pass a therapy certification today. Some dogs, especially puppies, they need training. If they're high energy and they need to learn to not be distracted if they're supposed to be at the nursing home being pet and they're not going to see a cat out the window and run away. So
right.
Dogs need help. I personally used a certified trainer because I felt uncomfortable with my abilities. And so she taught me a lot. Some people are just really naturally good with training their own pets and they know they have a natural temperament for that. One thing that my personal organization does is they do not allow dogs or cats. So they do dogs and cats. If a cat is afraid of dogs, and there might be a dog, say if it was Paws to read and you also did cats, if the cat's gonna, meow and run away and scratch somebody with a dog present, that cat would not pass.
Right.
Same
Right.
dog would be aggressive and chase the cat, they wouldn't pass that dog. So Willow's check off, and she included the cat.
Oh,
Because
wow.
is she going to be curious about this cat, or is she going to growl at the cat? If the dog's going to growl, he does not need to be doing therapy. And that's whether at men, at people in uniform, at small children, multiple different areas. If the dog has a tendency to be aggressive, they're not going to pass that dog. It's just for the safety of every environment they could possibly go into, so someone doesn't get hurt.
I think that's wonderful. Now, do you have a special story that really stands out in your mind of you and Willow just going out and blessing somebody in a situation?
Yeah. So one of my favorite weeks ever was at Johnny and Friends Family Camp. And I don't know if you've heard of Johnny and Friends. It's an organization that helps with special needs, people affected by special needs. I was there were so many families that were kind of at those peak emotional moments during the day, which I have, not having special needs, where I just need a nap and I need to be alone. And it was hot and they're tired and they're a place they don't know. And these kids would be at the point of meltdown, and Willow would come in and it just snapped them out of it. And so it was nice to have her as a distraction for them, as a mental break, where they could just literally take a break from the moment that was really intense. They're distracted by her, and then they kind of reset, and they might walk her for a little bit or just sit down and pet her. There was one little child, she was deaf, and she was so frustrated she could not communicate what she needed. And we just got Willow to break the moment. And that mom was like, I want a therapy dog for my child. And she ended up doing a GoFundMe or something like that to raise money to buy the dog and to get her trained to her daughter, which was really neat. And then the other one is actually with Paws to Read. These two little twins who their birthday is St. Patrick's Day. And I'm a twin. They look like me and my twin. There's a blonde one and one that's more olive. And those little girls just coming to read to Willow and seeing them progress in their skill and their confidence. That was those little girls were really special to me. And I know Willow loved them too. So that was really fun, making connections with people that last for a while.
You sent me some pictures beforehand that I could use during the interview. And you have one with Willow and Santa Claus. What's the story behind that picture?
So that was our last training sessions, official ones with our trainer. And we went to Bass Pro Shop when he was there. And she immediately went to him, and he immediately connected with her. And she just loved him. It was like she thought he was magic as well. And she
had to tell what she wanted for Christmas.
I think he was telling her a secret in that picture, because he held her face. I remember him talking to her for a while. So she loved Santa and he loved her. And so that's from our very last training session, from before she was certified.
Oh, okay. It's such a cute picture.
Yeah.
Any other advice or anything before we come to a close here that you want to share?
Well, I would highly recommend those prior training YouTube videos. They're free. She does have a book. I think it's called Don't Shoot Your Dog or something like that. I read through it voraciously. But the YouTube are great. I'm a visual learner, so it was nice for me to see in action, kind of step by step. They have one just for kennel training of how to get your dog happy to go into the kennel. I use that. Not being afraid to pay for a couple professional training sessions. Being very specific about what trainer to use. Our trainer was with Faithfully Yours Dog Training. I may be misspeaking, but at the time she was the only professional dog trainer in the state. There are lots of people who are certified, but that is her. She has gone to lots of training. That is her career. She only uses positive methods. I love her. She's excellent. So being really picky about who you use if you go that route.
All right. Well, Allison, this has been wonderful. I wish I had heard all of this 13 years ago when we got Millie. That's for sure. Millie's a sweet dog. Don't get me wrong. She just has her little neurotic tendencies every now and again. And come by the library. Y'all need to come back and say hello. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sadie, yeah, you ready? Sit, sit, sit. You know what to do, sit. Good girl. Down, good girl. Good girl, Sadie. You want to try it again? Come on, sit. Ah, no, sit. Good girl. Uh-oh, we got distracted.
Yep. Ready?
Sit. Oh, you're already down, good girl. Roll over. Roll over, finish. Good girl. Uh-oh.
Wait, let me scoot back.
You ready? You want to do it again? Sit. Down. You know what to do. Roll over. Finish. You ready? Sit. Down.
You too, Willow.
Roll over. Willie, you want to do it? Sadie, you want to do it again? Sit. Down. Roll over. Good girl.
Is that
One
good?
more time. She can do it one more time. Ready? Sadie. It's over here, silly. Ready? Sit. Down.